Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Yo-sha and I'm your go-to girl for all things real. Today's video is going to talk about dealing with grief during a pandemic. This is something that has affected me recently. If you've been following me for a while, then you know I have a sister, or I had a sister, and she battled with cancer for about 2 years, and she lost the fight at the end of April. I wanted to film this video to help anybody that suffered a loss during the pandemic or just in general. I wanted to share and be really transparent and honest with you guys because this is real and this is part of what I do when it comes to real talk. And in a pandemic especially, you're already kind of in an off spot in your life because you're sad about social distancing. You might have gotten laid off at work. You may be stressed out about money. It's just so much that goes into being in a pandemic. As my sister began to get worse, I realized that, it was a possibility that she could pass. Losses that come by surprise. It's like a car accident. No one plans to get in a car accident that day. When you get into a car accident, it just happens. You don't know that when you get in a car that day, you're going to get hit by someone else or that you're going to hit someone else. That's kind of like what death was like. I didn't expect the last time that I spoke with her to be the last time. With my sister, I knew that she had cancer and I knew that she had been trying chemo, radiation, just different things, and it just wasn't making things better for her. In December for Christmas, she took a break from it and it seemed like it was the happiest she had been in a while. But unfortunately, the cancer began to spread in 2020 and she spent a lot of the spring in the hospital sick. In March, things began to get worse, and that was the last time I was able to see her before the pandemic and before things got really bad with the country. The hospitals were not allowing visitors, and things were just getting worse. So I think I mentally began a process that she may be passing, but when she did pass on April 22nd, I broke down and I cried, I didn't think that I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't expect that she would pass during this time where I wouldn't be able to say goodbye. And I think that that was the hardest part for me. But my sister got really weak and she hadn't been able to really talk on the phone or like text because the cancer was taking her strength. So that was hard. Grief is something that I've dealt with before. I lost my mom when I was 16. And we were not in the middle of a pandemic, but at that time, I kind of handled it by staying busy and I stayed distracted. I kept myself involved in many things like YouTube. I spent time with my friends. I spent time with my family. I went to school and I spent a lot of my time applying for scholarships and watching YouTube videos and just keeping myself busy. One thing that I didn't do that I wish I would have done at that time was grief counseling. I haven't done it yet for this recent loss either, but it is something that I plan to do. If you're not comfortable speaking with somebody yet, I would say try to speak with someone in your family that you trust if you have that option. It can kind of help you to sort through your emotions and just feel like you're not alone. But family has been really helpful during this time. Speaking with my dad, speaking with my aunt that cared for my sister in the last years of her life. Calling relatives more. Like that's something that I really benefited from because, when somebody passes away, you start thinking about how life is really short and how you don't know how much time you're going to have left. And it really was a wake-up call for me too because my mom passed at a young age. My sister passed even younger than my mom did. And here I am. And it made me kind of reflect on like who I am, where I want to be, what are the goals that I want to achieve before 10 years from now, and what am I doing now to get there. So one thing I can say is just allow yourself to feel how you feel and take time for you if you can. Now, if you don't have the finances to just take time off, then I can understand not being able to do it. But if you are able to take time off and they can pay you for it, or they'll just give you a leave of absence and you can keep your job, I do recommend taking some time away from work if you're at a working age. The reason why I say that is because you are in a state of shock and you don't really need the stress of work on top of trying to handle the emotions initially from finding out that somebody that you love passed. So you could take 3 days, 5 days, 10 days, however long you need, take it and just kind of readjust. Now, in that adjustment time, maybe take the first couple of days. Don't do much at all. Just kind of feel. You know, if you need to cry, if you need to write it out, if you need to scream, take that time by yourself to kind of process your feelings. I think that will help. Now, something that I like to do is YouTube. Y'all know I like YouTube. So I didn't stay absent from YouTube. I actually shared on YouTube and I asked for prayers on YouTube, and it resulted in a lot of prayer and just support, and I really appreciated that because I needed that more than y'all could ever imagine. But after a while, it can get overwhelming with social media. So surprisingly enough, after I announced it on Facebook, and I took some time before I announced it, because once you announce that somebody dies on Facebook, it's like the algorithm of Facebook pushes it out, and everybody that you've not seen in years comes out talking to you to wish you condolences, and it can get overwhelming reading those comments. I'm sorry for your loss over and over and over again. So with that, I would just say, like, don't be afraid to not respond to the comments. And I actually, in my post, I actually told the people, like, I'm still processing this. I need time. So before y'all start bombarding me with calls and questions, I'm just letting y'all know what's going on, so that if I'm not here or if I don't respond, you know that this is why. You don't have to feel obligated to respond to people because you're still dealing with it. You know what I mean? You can just do a general post at the end and say, thank you. I received every message. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Just go from there. But I think it's good to acknowledge that it happened if need be, because it helps you to kind of process it. And in my case, I did, because there were some relatives that wouldn't have known otherwise. And because of everything that's going on, we're not able to get together like we did when my mom died and have a funeral and a celebration of life and get everyone together one last time in reference. Now, we may be able to do this post-burial, but it's not going to be quite the same. At that point, it really will just be a life celebration. It will not be like her being buried and stuff, because that's already happened. And when it did happen, the funeral home that my aunt chose when arranging the funeral arrangements only allowed 10 of us to be present. And that was heartbreaking. People that she grew up with, she had 20 years of life post me, of people that loved her that were not able to celebrate. And I'm sure that was hard. So that was my reason for sharing, because I feel like they deserve to know. As a beautician especially, people reach out to you once the pandemic is over wanting their hair done. If they don't even know that you were sick, which a lot of people, my sister was really private, so a lot of people did not know that my sister had cancer. So to find out that she had cancer is already a shocker. She didn't even tell me for the first year that she had it, And once I found out, I was just like, oh my gosh. So that's one shock. But then to find out that she's gone also is just like a super shock. So I announced it on social, for that reason, to give closure to anyone that would not be able to be there. But then I took some time away from social media. And then, I posted a picture with my initial emotion of grief, because I wanted to express myself. But then I started to get more flooded responses to that grief post, and I felt like it was too much, so then I took it down from the view of other people. Something else that helped me were melatonin gummies. My friends here on YouTube actually recommended getting something like that because I was having trouble sleeping at night. And I started taking them, and I actually will film a separate review, but those actually did help with sleep. You just have to take them when you're actually ready to go to sleep, because if you don't and you stay up, then it defeats the purpose because it won't work. Another thing that helped me have comfort was being able to talk on the phone with family and friends. That meant so much, being able to FaceTime and talk and laugh and discuss memories of her for those that knew my sister. And another thing that also helped me was that happened looking at her pictures. I had so many pictures with my sister because when my mom passed, I didn't. So I always made a promise to take a lot of pictures with my family after losing my mom, because I didn't want to be in a situation where I didn't have any pictures. So, you know, it made me cry a little, but it made me feel good to look back over the pictures, see her smile, look over our old text messages, and, you know, read her tell me that she loved me. And then the last thing that helped me was to just take some time for me. You have to take things a day at a time when it comes to grief, because it's not something that you can predict. You'll have good days, you'll have days when you get sad, you'll have moments when you get sad. The person's birthday, Mother's Day, the holiday, it just depends. But I just wanted to share this with you guys because I know that I'm not alone in losing someone during this time. There's nothing wrong with feeling the way that you feel. Sometimes people try to interject on how you should feel or how you should react to a death in your family, death of a loved one, death of a friend, and I think that your emotions are your own, and no one should tell you that you can't cry or you can't talk about it or you're talking about it too much or it's not okay for you to feel down sometimes. Grief is not something that leaves when the funeral ends, when the body is gone and we've said our goodbyes. Grief is an ongoing thing, and it affects us at random times. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye.